Story 1. I've been working overtime for the past year as a nurse at a busy hospital in the city. Between the long shifts, difficult patients, and the constant buzz of hospital life, I was completely burned out. When my birthday came around last month, I decided to treat myself to something special, a week-long vacation at Sunset Cove Resort, a beautiful seaside spot about 3 hours from where I live. This wasn't some impulse trip. I'd been planning it for months, saving up and counting down the days. I booked the reservation back in January, requested the time off work well in advance, and even paid extra for an oceanfront room with a balcony. This was going to be my first real vacation in over 2 years, and I needed it badly. The drive to the resort was beautiful. As the city faded away in my rearview mirror, I could feel the stress melting off my shoulders. When I finally arrived at Sunset Cove around 3:30 p.m., I was ready to check in, unpack, and immediately hit the beach before sunset. The resort lobby was gorgeous, all open windows with ocean views, white marble floors, and staff dressed in crisp blue uniforms. I waited patiently in line at the reception desk, daydreaming about the warm sand between my toes. When it was finally my turn, I approached the front desk with a smile. Hi there. I have a reservation for check-in today. Oceanfront room with balcony for 7 nights. The receptionist tapped away at his computer and smiled back. Receptionist: Yes, I see your reservation here. Everything looks good. Your room is 415, which has a beautiful view of the beach. The elevators are just to your right, and someone will bring your luggage up shortly. He handed me a key card and a resort information packet. I thanked him and headed toward the elevators, almost giddy with excitement. When I reached the 4th floor, I followed the signs down the hallway until I found room 415. I slid my key card into the door, but noticed it was already slightly ajar. Thinking housekeeping might still be finishing up, I knocked gently and pushed the door open. What I saw inside stopped me in my tracks. A middle-aged woman with highlighted blonde hair was unpacking her suitcase on my bed. She had clothes spread out everywhere, and her toiletries were already arranged on the bathroom counter. She looked up when I entered, her face quickly shifting from surprise to annoyance. Oh, I'm sorry. I think there's been some mistake. This is room 415, right? The woman, who I'll call Karen since that's exactly what she was, put her hands on her hips and glared at me. Karen: Yes, this is 415, my room. There must be a mix-up. The front desk just gave me the key card for this room. I have a reservation. Karen: Well, so do I. I stay in this exact room every summer. It's my room. I was confused. I'd booked this specific room months ago and had the confirmation to prove it. Let me just check with the front desk. There's probably another room available. Karen: No need. You can get another room. I'm already unpacked, and I always stay in this room. Ask anyone they know me here. She turned her back to me and continued unpacking as if I wasn't even there. I stood in the doorway, stunned by her rudeness. Ma'am, I specifically booked this oceanfront room with a balcony months ago. I paid extra for it. Can I see your reservation? Karen: I don't need to show you anything. This is my room. I've been coming to this resort for 8 years, and I always stay in 415. The staff knows me. Now please leave before I call security. I couldn't believe what was happening. Rather than argue with her, I decided to go back downstairs and sort things out with the front desk. Surely they could clear up the confusion. When I explained the situation to the receptionist, his brow furrowed. Receptionist: That's very strange. You're definitely assigned to room 415. Let me check our system. He typed something into his computer and then looked puzzled. Receptionist: According to our records, there's no other booking for that room. You're the only guest assigned to 415 for the week. Did this woman give you a name? I realized I didn't even know her name, just that she claimed to be a regular. The receptionist called the manager over, and I explained everything again. Manager: I've been working here for 5 years, and I don't recall any guest who specifically stays in room 415 every summer. Let me come up with you to sort this out." We headed back upstairs together. When we reached the room, the door was now fully closed and locked. The manager knocked. "Manager, hello? This is the resort manager. May I speak with you for a moment?" We heard shuffling inside before Karen opened the door, just a crack, chain still in place. "Karen, what is it?" "I'm trying to get settled in." Manager: "Ma'am, there seems to be some confusion about this room. Could I see your reservation confirmation, please?" Karen: "I don't have one. I called directly. Ask your staff, they know I always stay in this room. Every summer for 8 years. The manager looked genuinely confused. Manager: "Ma'am, I don't recognize you as a regular guest, and according to our system, this room is reserved for someone else. Could you please come down to the front desk so we can sort this out?" Karen: "Absolutely not. I'm already unpacked. This happens every year. Someone tries to take my room, and then your staff sorts it out. Just give this person another room." I decided to show them my reservation on my phone. "Me, look, I have confirmation right here. I booked this specific room in January and paid in full." Karen glanced at my phone and then scoffed. "Karen, anyone can fake something like that. I'm not leaving. I've been driving all day, and I'm exhausted." The manager's polite demeanor was starting to crack. Manager: "Ma'am, if you don't have a valid reservation, I'm going to have to ask you to come downstairs immediately." Karen: "Fine, if you want to harass a loyal customer, go ahead. I'm calling the police." She slammed the door in our faces. The manager and I looked at each other in disbelief. Manager: "I'm so sorry about this. Let me call security while we wait." A few minutes later, 2 security guards arrived. The manager explained the situation, and one of them spoke into his radio to check something. Security: "Sir, front desk says they have no record of anyone checking into room 415 except for this guest here. And the surveillance team said they saw a woman forcing the door open with some kind of tool about 20 minutes before this guest arrived." My jaw dropped. This woman had actually broken into my room. The security guard knocked firmly on the door. Security: "Ma'am, this is resort security. We need you to open the door immediately." Karen: "I've called the police. This woman is harassing me and trying to steal my room. They'll be here any minute." Security: "Ma'am, we have you on camera forcing entry into this room. The police will indeed be interested in that footage. Open the door now, or we'll use the master key." After a moment of silence, we heard the chain being removed. Karen opened the door, phone in hand. Karen: "I'm on with the police right now. They're coming to arrest this woman for harassment." Security: "May I speak with them?" Karen hesitated, then handed over the phone. The security guard introduced himself and explained the situation calmly. After a brief conversation, he handed the phone back to Karen with a stern look. Security: "Ma'am, the police officer I just spoke with has informed me that they're sending a patrol car not to arrest anyone for harassment, but to investigate a potential breaking and entering." Karen's face went pale. "Karen, this is ridiculous. I'm a loyal customer. I've stayed in this room every summer for years." The manager stepped forward. Manager: "Ma'am, I've checked our records going back 10 years. You've never stayed at this resort before. Now please gather your belongings immediately." Karen: "You'll regret this. I'll sue this entire resort. I know the owner personally." Manager: "Please tell me his name then." Karen went silent, her bluff called out. Eventually, Karen was escorted down to the lobby by security while I waited with the manager. By the time I got back to my room, housekeeping was already changing the sheets and cleaning up. The manager apologized profusely and offered me a free dinner at their nicest restaurant as compensation for the trouble. From my balcony that evening, I saw Karen being escorted to a police car in the parking lot. She was gesturing wildly and seemed to be yelling, though I couldn't hear what she was saying. The next morning, the manager came to check on me and let me know what had happened. Apparently, Karen had tried to check in earlier that day, but was told the resort was fully booked. Rather than accepting this, she had waited around, watched the staff, and then somehow forced her way into my room when no one was looking. She had no previous connection to the resort at all. The best part? The manager informed me that not only had Karen been banned from Sunset Cove, but she'd also been blacklisted from every property owned by the parent company over 200 hotels and resorts worldwide. I spent the rest of my vacation in peaceful bliss, enjoying the ocean views from my room 415, without a single Karen in sight. Story 2. Let me tell you about one of the craziest days of my life. My little boy had just turned 6 years old, and like any parent, I wanted to make his birthday special. We're not rich by any means, but I'd been saving up to throw him a nice party at our local park. My son had been through a lot in his short life. His dad left when he was only 3, and I've been working 2 jobs ever since to make ends meet. My mom helps out when she can, but with her health problems, it's not as often as either of us would like. Despite everything, my boy is the sweetest kid you'll ever meet, always sharing his toys and never complaining when we can't afford the latest video game or fancy sneakers that his friends have. For his birthday, I'd managed to book a small pavilion at the community park. Nothing fancy, just a covered area with a few picnic tables. I'd invited his whole kindergarten class, my sister and her kids, and a few neighbors who've been helpful over the years. I was especially excited because I'd splurged on a custom cake, a dinosaur-themed masterpiece that cost me nearly a full day's wages. It was worth every penny when I saw his face light up. The party was going great. The kids were playing tag and having water balloon fights. Everyone was laughing and having a good time. My sister had just finished helping me set up the cake table with plates and napkins, and we were about to call the kids over to sing "Happy Birthday" when this woman I'd never seen before approached our pavilion. She had a boy about my son's age trailing behind her, looking embarrassed. There was also an older couple hanging back a bit, who I later found out were her in-laws. Woman, wow, that's quite a party you've got here. Me, thanks. It's my son's birthday. Woman, my boy's birthday was last month, but his dad and I couldn't afford to throw him a party this year. I felt bad for the kid, who was staring at the ground and kicking at some pebbles. Me, I'm sorry to hear that. Would you like me to wrap up some goodie bags for him? We have extras. The woman looked at me like I just offered her a half-eaten sandwich. Woman, actually, I was thinking you could give us that cake. My son hasn't had a birthday cake this year, and that one looks expensive. Your kid probably gets nice things all the time. I thought she was joking at first, but her face was dead serious. Me? I'm sorry, but this is my son's birthday cake. We're about to do the candles and singing right now. Woman, but my son really wants it. Look how sad he is. The poor kid looked mortified, not sad. Me, I understand, but this is my son's special day. I ordered this cake weeks ago specifically for him. Woman, don't be so selfish. You can just get another one. My son deserves something nice for once. By this point, some of the parents at the party had started to notice the commotion. My sister stepped closer to me. Sister, is everything okay here? Me, this lady wants us to give her our birthday cake. Sister, excuse me? Woman, your family clearly has money to spare. Look at all this. My poor boy got nothing for his birthday. The least you could do is share. My sister, never one to hold back, stepped forward. Sister, lady, we don't know you. This is a private party for my nephew. My sister worked extra shifts for months to afford this. Please leave us alone. Woman, how dare you? You're teaching these children to be selfish. What kind of example is that? The older couple, her in-laws, finally approached. Mother-in-law, what's going on? We were supposed to be going to the playground. Woman, these people are having a big fancy party and refusing to share with my son. Father-in-law, share what? Woman, they won't give us their cake. My son deserves it more than their spoiled brat. Now I was getting angry. No one talks about my kid that way. Me, look, I've offered goodie bags and I'd be happy to send some pizza home with you. But the cake is for my son's birthday. I need you to leave our area now. That's when she completely lost it. Without warning, she lunged forward, plunged both hands into the dinosaur cake, grabbed a huge chunk, and started backing away. Me, what are you doing? Stop. The kids all stopped playing and were watching in shock. My son started crying. The cake was ruined, with 2 giant handprints in the middle and frosting dripping everywhere. The woman's-in-laws looked horrified. Mother-in-law, what have you done? Put that down immediately. Woman, no, they wouldn't share, so I'm taking what my son deserves. She tried to hand the cake mess to her son, who backed away in horror. Son, Mom, I don't want it. Stop. By this point, another parent had called the park security, who called the police. The woman was screaming about entitled rich people, hilarious given my bank account, and how we were abusing her son by showing off. Her in-laws were trying to get her to leave, but she wasn't budging. When the police arrived about 10 minutes later, the scene was chaotic. The woman immediately changed her tune. Woman, officer, I'm so glad you're here. These people were harassing my son and refusing to let him join their party in a public park. Officer, ma'am, what happened here? Woman, they were being abusive. They told my son he wasn't good enough to have cake. They called him names. Me, that's absolutely not true. This is my son's private birthday party. This woman demanded we give her our cake, and when we refused, she destroyed it. Woman, they're lying. They attacked me when I tried to let my son join in. This is a public park. The officer looked skeptical, but then one of the dads from the party stepped forward. Dad, officer, I've been filming the party for a highlight video. I caught the whole thing on camera. The woman's face went pale. Officer, I'd like to see that footage, sir. The dad pulled out his phone and showed the video to the officer. It clearly showed the woman demanding the cake, us refusing politely, and her destroying it. Officer, ma'am, based on this evidence, you've committed destruction of property, and your behavior constitutes disorderly conduct. I'm going to need your information. Woman, but they started it. They were being selfish. Her father-in-law finally stepped in. Father-in-law, enough. We watched the whole thing. You're embarrassing yourself and our entire family. Officer, we'll make sure she pays for any damages. The officer took the woman aside to get her information. Her in-laws apologized profusely, and the father-in-law insisted on giving me $200 cash for the cake and the trouble. In the end, the woman was charged with disorderly conduct and destruction of property. Her in-laws took her son with them and left her to deal with the police. The party was a bit subdued after that, but my sister saved the day by running to the grocery store and coming back with cupcakes. We still sang Happy Birthday, and my son still got to make a wish, though he told me later he wished for no more crazy cake ladies. That night, after everyone had gone home and my son was in bed, I found a note in my purse from the woman's mother-in-law with her phone number. She called the next day to apologize again and explained that her daughter-in-law had always been difficult but had gotten worse recently. She invited my son to come to their house for a playdate with his grandson, saying she'd make sure the cake lady wasn't around. We did end up going, and her grandson is now one of my son's best friends. They never mentioned the cake incident, but sometimes I catch the grandfather winking at my son when dessert is served. Story 3. My dad has been in a wheelchair for almost 15 years now. He was a construction worker back in the day, one of those guys who could lift twice his weight and never complained about long hours. Then one day, while working on a high-rise building, a platform collapsed. He fell 3 stories and damaged his spinal cord. The doctors said he was lucky to be alive, but he would never walk again. It took us all a long time to adjust. Dad struggled the most, obviously. He went from being this super active guy who climbed ladders and carried heavy equipment all day to needing help getting in and out of the bathtub. But over time, we found our new normal. Dad never let his disability stop him from living. He still wanted to do everything he did before, just adapted. That included our annual family trip to Thrill World Amusement Park. This year was special because it was the first time my little sister would be tall enough to ride the mega coaster, the park's biggest roller coaster. Dad had promised her that when she was finally tall enough, we'd all ride it together. Dad isn't able to go on many rides anymore, but the mega coaster has a special car that can accommodate wheelchair users. They just need extra time to get situated. So there we were, waiting in the accessibility line. It wasn't exactly a front-of-the-line pass like some people think. We still had to wait for our turn, but in a separate line that had the right equipment and space for people with mobility devices. Dad was excited, showing my sister all the twists and turns on the ride map, while Mom was busy taking pictures of us. That's when this woman and her 2 kids joined the regular line nearby. She kept looking over at us, whispering to her kids and pointing. At first, I didn't think much of it until she started getting louder. "Woman, look at that. They're just going to let them go ahead of everyone." I tried to ignore her, but she got closer to our line. "Woman, we've been waiting for almost an hour, and these people just show up and get to go right to the front." My mom turned around, keeping her voice calm. "Mom, this is the accessibility line. We're waiting our turn just like everyone else." The woman scoffed and moved even closer, now fully standing at the rope divider between the 2 lines. Her kids looked embarrassed. "Woman, yeah right. I bet he's not even really disabled. People do this all the time." My dad, always one to avoid conflict, just smiled awkwardly and turned his wheelchair away from her. But she wasn't having it. "Woman, hey, I'm talking to you. Why don't you stand up and prove you actually need that chair?" I felt my face getting hot. "My dad can't stand up. He's paraplegic." "Woman, sure he is. I saw a video online about people who rent wheelchairs just to skip lines at theme parks. That's what you're doing, isn't it?" "Dad, ma'am, I assure you I'm not faking anything. I've been paralyzed from the waist down for 15 years. "Woman, then prove it. Stand up. Let's see you try." By now, other people in line were watching. Some looked uncomfortable, others were filming with their phones. I was shaking with anger, but my dad put his hand on my arm to calm me down. "Mom, this is completely inappropriate. Please leave us alone." "Woman, no, it's not fair to all these people waiting. My kids have been standing in the sun for an hour." Then, before any of us could react, she actually grabbed the handles of my dad's wheelchair and tried to yank it backward. "Dad, hey, stop that." My sister started crying, and I instinctively stepped between the woman and my dad. Dad's wheels were locked, but he was startled and nearly fell forward out of his chair. Mom rushed to stabilize him. "Mom, what is wrong with you? Don't touch his chair." The woman was red-faced and shouting now. "Woman, get up. I know you can walk. Get out of that chair and wait in line like the rest of us." That's when the park security finally arrived. A security guard in a blue uniform came running over. "Security guard, what's going on here?" Before we could explain, the woman started pointing at us. "Woman, these people are faking disabilities to skip the line. They're scammers." The security guard looked at my dad, then back at the woman. Security guard, "Ma'am, did you just put your hands on this man's wheelchair?" "Woman, he doesn't need it. I'm just exposing their scam." The security guard's face hardened. Security guard, "Ma'am, we have a strict policy against harassing other guests, and touching someone's mobility device is absolutely unacceptable. I need you to come with me." Woman, "What? They're the ones breaking the rules. They're cutting in line." Security guard, "This is the accessibility line, which they are correctly using. Now please come with me, or I'll have to call for additional assistance." The woman looked around, suddenly realizing that several people were filming her. Her kids were standing several feet away, clearly mortified. "Woman, oh, so you're taking their side. Do you know how much money I spent to bring my kids here today?" Security guard, ma'am, that doesn't give you the right to harass other guests or touch their medical equipment. Now, for the last time, please come with me. Finally, her kid stepped in. Older kid, Mom, please stop. Let's just go. Younger kid, you're embarrassing us. The woman looked at her children, then back at us with pure hatred. Woman, fine. This place is a rip-off anyway. As she was being escorted away, I heard her screeching about suing the park and exposing us on social media. Meanwhile, the ride attendant had come over to check on us. Ride attendant, sir, are you all right? Dad, I'm fine, just a bit rattled. Ride attendant, I am so sorry about that. Let me call my manager. Within minutes, the park manager showed up, apologizing profusely. Park manager, I want to assure you that woman has been escorted out of the park and has received a lifetime ban. We have zero tolerance for that kind of behavior. Dad tried to brush it off. Dad, it's okay. These things happen. Park manager, no, it's absolutely not okay. We want to make this right. I'd like to offer you and your family VIP passes for the rest of the day. You'll have priority access to any ride, and I've also arranged some complimentary merchandise packages. My sister, who had stopped crying, perked up at this. Sister, really? Park manager, absolutely. And your dad's next visit will be completely on us. We were all speechless. The manager handed us the VIP lanyards and personally escorted us onto the megacoaster, making sure Dad was safely secured in the special car. As we were getting strapped in, I noticed that several people from the regular line were giving us thumbs up and supportive smiles. One guy came up to us quickly before boarding. Guy, hey, just so you know, I got that whole thing on video and it's already blowing up on TikTok. That lady is getting absolutely roasted online. Dad actually laughed at that. Dad, well, I guess some justice is being served. We ended up having the best day ever at the park. The VIP passes meant we could ride everything multiple times without waiting. Dad got a special Thrill World hoodie that he proudly wore for the rest of the day, and my sister scored a giant stuffed bear from the gift shop. Later that night, we saw the video had indeed gone viral. People were calling her Roller Coaster Karen, and the comment section was filled with people defending my dad and condemning her behavior. Some people even started a hashtag in support of accessibility rights at theme parks. Dad was quiet on the drive home. When I asked him if he was okay, he just smiled. Dad, 15 years ago when I ended up in this chair, I worried that I wouldn't be able to protect you kids anymore. Today showed me I was wrong about that. We protect each other now. And he was right. That entitled woman thought she could bully my dad because she saw his wheelchair as a weakness. Instead, she learned that our family is stronger than she could ever imagine and got herself banned from Thrill World for life in the process. Story 4. Some background about me. I've been working as a veterinary technician for about 6 years now. I absolutely love animals, especially dogs, and I've dedicated my career to their well-being. 3 years ago, I adopted my golden retriever from a rescue shelter. He had been abandoned and was severely malnourished when they found him. It took months of care, proper nutrition, and love to nurse him back to health. He's now the happiest, most energetic dog you could imagine, though he does have a calm demeanor in public settings because I've trained him well. Now to the incident. Last Saturday was unusually warm for spring, so I decided to treat myself to lunch at this new cafe downtown that has a dog-friendly patio. My golden retriever was lying peacefully under my table while I enjoyed my sandwich and iced tea. He had plenty of shade, a bowl of fresh water, and was comfortably leashed to my chair. He was just relaxing, as golden retrievers often do when they're content. I was about halfway through my meal when this woman in her mid-40s with the stereotypical highlighted bob haircut started glancing over at us from a few tables away. At first, I didn't think much of it. People often look at my dog because he's beautiful, not that I'm biased or anything. But then she got up and marched straight to our table. Woman, excuse me, but is this your dog? Me, yes, he is. Woman, he looks absolutely miserable. Look at how depressed he is. I glanced down at my golden retriever, who was contentedly sprawled in the shade, occasionally thumping his tail when he caught my eye. Me, he's not depressed, he's relaxed. This is how dogs rest when they're comfortable. Woman, I know dogs, and this poor animal is clearly neglected. He's probably dehydrated and overheated. She pointed dramatically at his water bowl, which was still half full because he had just had a drink. Me, as you can see, he has fresh water, he's in the shade, and he's perfectly fine. That's when things got wild. Without another word, she bent down and started fumbling with his leash clip. Me, what are you doing? Stop touching my dog. I stood up so fast my chair nearly toppled over. A couple of other patrons turned to look at the commotion. Woman, I work in animal welfare, and I'm rescuing this poor dog from you. He deserves better than to be dragged around in this heat. By this point, my golden retriever was looking confused, standing up and pressing against my legs, as this stranger was trying to unclip his leash. I put my hand on the clasp to stop her. Me, get your hands off my dog right now, or I'm calling the police. Woman, go ahead and call them. I'll tell them how you're abusing this poor animal. I know the chief of police personally, and he takes animal cruelty very seriously. Several people were openly staring now, and a server had noticed the disturbance and was heading our way. Me, ma'am, I am a veterinary technician. This is my dog. He is perfectly healthy, well cared for, and you are attempting to steal him. Woman, you're lying. No veterinary professional would treat an animal like this. Look at how sad he is. At this point, my golden retriever was wagging his tail nervously and looking between us, clearly confused by the confrontation. Server, is everything okay over here? Woman, no, this person is abusing this dog, and I'm trying to rescue him. Call the police. Me, she's trying to steal my dog. And yes, please do call the police. The server looked uncertain for a moment, but then the woman made another grab for my dog's leash, and he made the call. Meanwhile, I pulled out my phone and started recording. Me, you need to back away from my dog right now. Woman, I'm not going anywhere without this poor animal. I have a much better home for him. Me, this is theft, and you're being recorded. Leave us alone. Woman, you don't deserve a dog. He needs someone who will actually care for him. I know my rights. The absolute audacity of this woman was astounding. I opened my bag and pulled out a folder. Me, these are his adoption papers with my name on them. These are his vaccination records, signed by the veterinarian at the clinic where I work. And this is my veterinary technician license. I think I know how to take care of my own dog. I showed the papers to the server and a couple of nearby patrons who had gotten up to see what was happening. The woman tried to snatch the papers from my hand. Woman, those could be fake. I'm a trained animal welfare officer, and I can tell when an animal is being mistreated. Me, show me your identification then. Woman, I don't have to show you anything. By this time, my golden retriever had moved completely behind me, clearly uncomfortable with this aggressive stranger. The cafe manager had come out and was trying to de-escalate the situation. Manager, ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to return to your table or leave the premises. Woman, I'm not leaving without this dog. This is animal cruelty, and you're all witnesses. She was getting louder, and people from inside the cafe were coming out to see what was happening. It was completely mortifying, but I wasn't about to let this crazy woman anywhere near my dog. About 10 minutes later, which felt like an eternity, a police officer arrived. The woman immediately rushed up to him. Woman, officer, I'm so glad you're here. I'm with the Animal Welfare Department, and I've discovered this dog being abused. I need your assistance in confiscating him. Officer, can I see your identification, ma'am? The woman hesitated, then fumbled in her purse. Woman, I must have left my badge at the office, but I assure you I'm authorized to remove animals in distress. The officer turned to me. Officer, and you are? I explained that I was the dog's owner, showed him the adoption papers, my ID, and my veterinary technician license. I also showed him the video I had taken of her trying to unclip my dog's leash. "Officer, ma'am, are you actually employed by any animal welfare organization?" The woman's face turned red. Woman: "Well, not officially, but I volunteer sometimes, and I know animal abuse when I see it." The officer sighed. Officer: "So you lied about being an animal welfare officer, and you attempted to take someone else's dog?" Woman: "I was trying to save him. Look at him. He's obviously depressed." My golden retriever, who had calmed down now that the police officer was handling the situation, was sitting beside me with his typical doggy smile, tongue lolling out, looking about as depressed as a kid in a candy store. The officer wasn't impressed with her argument. After talking to several witnesses who confirmed my version of events, he informed the woman that she was being detained for attempted theft and for falsely claiming to be a government official. Woman: "This is ridiculous. I want to speak to your supervisor. I know the chief of police." Officer: "You're welcome to speak with my supervisor down at the station." As the officer was escorting her away, she was still yelling about how she was just trying to help and how we were all going to regret this. The cafe manager apologized for the incident and offered me a free dessert, which I gratefully accepted. Several patrons came over to check if my golden retriever and I were okay, and a few even shared their own encounters with entitled people. Later that day, I found out from the officer who took my statement that the woman had a history of similar incidents. She'd previously tried to rescue other people's pets and had been warned about it before. This time, she was actually facing charges for attempted theft and impersonating an officer. My golden retriever got extra treats and cuddles that evening. He seemed to have forgotten all about the incident by the time we got home, but I'm still amazed at the entitlement of some people who think they can just take whatever they want because they've decided they know better than everyone else. The cherry on top? I later found out through a friend at the police department that when they searched her car, they found a collection of rescued pet accessories, including several different leashes, collars, and even pet carriers. Turns out, my golden retriever wasn't the first pet she had tried to save. Now she's facing multiple charges and a restraining order preventing her from coming near any pet stores or animal shelters. So that's my entitled people story. I still can't believe someone would try to steal my dog in broad daylight, claiming he looked sad while he was just chilling in the shade, enjoying a relaxing afternoon out with me.